You're listening to Seattle Real Estate Podcast.
City of Seattle launches Seattle Restored to activate vacant storefronts downtown. What do we have going on here? Well, we've got a look that's just not good for a downtown core. We've got lots of storefronts that are boarded up, graffitied up, garbage all around. We want to throw some bodies in there so it has better optics for the shopping season. That's kind of what we're doing. We want to get some momentum going. We want to make this a more vibrant downtown. How are we going to do that? Well, the City of Seattle and the mayor, they're proposing Seattle Restored, having artists and small business owners with an emphasis on people of color going into these spaces and creating some energy, some synergy of what's going on. The issue I have is the neighborhoods they're targeting, they're not safe, right? They're not safe. The reason that they're empty and they're boarded up is because the government basically put a whole bunch of businesses out of business with the coronavirus mandates. You're essential. You're not. Okay, you're out of here. You can't open, your business won't be open for months. And what didn't put those businesses out of business? Crime. You've got people just breaking into storefronts all the time. And we don't have enough police coverage to do it because we defunded the police. So there's that. On top of another massive layer were the riots and the break-ins that happened during the summer of 2020 and into the fall. We had, these peaceful protests where they took out hammers and bashed open storefronts, and these small businesses had to go through that, and a lot of them gave up and said, yeah, if the city isn't protecting me, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not operating my business from here. So that's why you've got all of these storefronts that are empty. We all know that. And the city all of a sudden is like, okay, to fix this, we're just going to throw some people in there. Predominantly, we're going to put an emphasis on people of color. All right, are those areas safe? Well, if you've got a massive company like Weyerhaeuser saying in the Pioneer Square community, we're not bringing our people back for a long time. We're going to have to just wait and see on this area. And we'll get into the areas that we're talking about here. But what you're basically doing is throwing in some artists and some small businesses into areas that have historically, recently had a ton of crime, and that's the reason they're empty. So, buyer beware to these artists and business owners that the city is trying to set you up with getting into some of this space. Do your research. All right, we'll get into it. Before we do, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Sean Reynolds. I own a couple of real estate companies, and I read the news from that perspective. So a vibrant downtown is super important, just as an energy thing for any given city. Portland suffering from this as well because they've just got boarded up sections. It's just horrific. So we're trying to get on this bandwagon of trying to get things going. Seattle Restored. Let's read about it. Let's see what we got going on here. I think it's interesting. I cringe when I read this article, if that kind of gives you any indication. The City of Seattle Office of Economic Development and Mayor Jenny Durkan announced the launch of Seattle Restored, a new program focused on activating vacant commercial storefronts in downtown Seattle neighborhoods, such as Westlake. Yeah, that's where we had the peaceful protesters smash in window after window after window, do some looting, all that good stuff. Westlake, happened there a lot. Belltown, we've had some crime in Belltown, not good. Pioneer Square, we've had Cindio, a startup, leave there. We've had Weyerhaeuser saying they're not going back to their commercial space in Pioneer Square because of safety concerns. And the Chinatown-International District. All right, how about in between Pioneer Square and Chinatown-International District, we've got the King County Court, where they are taking security officers, they're escorting their employees to and from the building to either the ferry or their car or the bus station because it's not safe. So now we're just going to throw 25 businesses and artists into these areas and say, hey, good luck, guys. good luck with that. I mean, crime isn't down. We've done nothing to abate the crime, but we need a better look in downtown. That's what's going on here, right? So the major communities, Westlake, Belltown, Pioneer Square, and Chinatown-International District. I was just reading about, along the lines of the Chinatown-International District, Little Saigon in Seattle has just basically been abandoned, and it's a free-for-all of crime. So, do your research. If you're a business owner or if you are going to get involved with this, do your research, know what you're getting into, because you might just be bait for, the criminal enterprise that operates in these areas for taking your stuff. And I don't want to see that happen to anybody. Hey, come on in and, let's put you up in this storefront. It'll be okay. So, the Office of Economic Development is partnering with Seattle Good Business Network, Shunpike, and real estate broker Susanna Tran to match vacant downtown Seattle storefronts with small business owners and artists to facilitate pop-up shops and art installations, prioritizing Black, Indigenous, and other entrepreneurs and artists of color. I am all in favor of pop-ups. I am all in favor of getting business going. But I want to see it done from a safe standpoint. And right now, we know that we're down about 500 cops in the city of Seattle, right? So police protection is kind of a no-go in a lot of these communities. We know that crime has already happened. We know that these stores have been bashed into and robbed and just all that stuff. Or the existing businesses that left, they left for a reason. There's a reason they left. And it's not because their business wasn't viable. A lot of times is because they couldn't get enough customers in there. They didn't feel safe. They didn't want to bring their employees into these areas because it's dangerous. So activating storefront vacancies will economically, socially, and culturally benefit neighborhoods, small businesses, artists, and property owners by creating vibrant and engaging streetscapes that encourage the public to visit downtown, support local businesses, and support local artists. All right, you're throwing all of these people into a mix where crime is rampant. All right? So what are the optics on that going to look like? Well, let's just kind of see how this goes. We're going to get these artists in here. We're going to jam them into these storefronts. We're going to make it okay with the owners of these these commercial spaces. And they've got some things on the zoning. They're going to be able to do a quick, if they need to change something out zoning wise, so these artists can operate. I'm all in favor of that kind of thing. But it's got to be safe for these people to be doing this kind of thing. And right now, arguably, not even arguably, these areas that we're talking about putting, pop-ups in, they're not very safe. There's a reason they're empty, folks. Yes. The program is funded by the Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund, established under the American Rescue Plan. And, doing something is great. But if you're putting people in harm's way, that's where I'm kind of like, okay, I guess we're just going to have to kind of watch this go and we'll just see what happens. Maybe it pushes out some of the criminal element. I don't know. I mean, downtown is Seattle's economic engine, and it's up to us to help it build back better than ever for all those who live, work, or visit. That is true. You got to clean the city up first, though. You got to clean up that criminal element first, right? You got to do that first. And then you bring these businesses and artists in. But we're kind of doing this backwards. We're just slamming them in. What could go wrong? I mean, we'll just see what happens, right? As part of our effort to revitalize downtown, we're making it easier than ever to pursue new, innovative uses for storefronts like art installations or museums. The very entities that were shut down for months and months and months due to the coronavirus and were broken into and basically shut down first time round and gave up their businesses because they couldn't make it go. So now we're going to do round two of the exact same thing. All right. Okay, well, let's see this go. Earlier this year, we passed legislation to increase flexible uses for downtown vacant storefronts, and now Seattle Restored will make direct investments in activating dozens of vacant storefronts, 25 to be exact, so 2 in less than half of a dozen. I appreciate the partnerships and their partners for working to help downtown small businesses, workers, and arts and cultural organizations recover. Okay, but this is a short-term thing to kind of get things going. We need long-term stability in these commercial areas for businesses to be viable long-term. And we don't have that right now. So there's that. In conversations with our downtown revitalization working group earlier this year, it became clear that there was a great opportunity and need to bring creative approaches to our empty storefronts as our downtown neighborhoods begin to recover from the pandemic. What would the Downtown Business Association of Seattle say? They would say, where's our support from the criminal element? That's what they would say. Hey, what are you going to do? You need to clean this area up. I mean, you've got crime running rampant in these areas. So City of Seattle, what are you doing? Well, we're just going to do some pop-ups and see how it goes. And we're just going to go down that road. Through Seattle Restored, the Office of Economic Development and its partners will support at least 25 space activations from December 2021 through April 2022, providing flexible short-term activations that run for 2 to 4 months each. Okay. That is very short term. What is it? What's this do? So many questions, so few answers. All right, we're just going to keep reading. There is no cost to participate, and the program will provide $2,500 in working capital to each participating small business and artist. Additionally, participants will be offered a range of complimentary supports, including commercial space development, marketing strategy development and execution, technical assistance, including product inventory management, customer development strategies in new markets, and connecting businesses to additional working capital for 2 to 4 months. All this effort for that, okay? We need longer-term solutions than pop-ups. That's the bottom line, right? While I admire this as an idea that in different areas, I think this would be great, but we wouldn't need this in other areas because there are no vacant storefronts in areas that are well managed. Bellevue Square here in Bellevue doesn't have empty storefronts that need pop-ups. It doesn't, because it's been well managed and the city of Bellevue is well managed. City of Seattle, you're throwing up pop-ups as a Hail Mary. We got to do something at the end of 2021 here because it's not looking good. We got to get ready for spring. Okay. Through Seattle Restored, property owners will build relationships with new tenants, artists that arguably won't be able to afford this space when retail does come back around. But you know, let's throw them in now, see what happens. While small businesses and artists will have the ability to stabilize in pop-up spaces in prime commercial locations for 2 to 4 months. All right. And artists will have the ability to, they'll be able to explore new opportunities in the downtown market. All right. By new opportunities, what do you mean? Because all I can think of is people getting robbed and having their stores broken into and having the peaceful protesters, destroy their storefront. That's kind of what comes to my mind is opportunities in these areas. But maybe I'm seeing this from a little bit of a dark angle here, but I do read the news fairly consistently, and this is what we've had going on. And connect to technical assistance for their long-term recovery and growth. The Office of Economic Development will also work to identify permanent locations and other technical assistance to support participants' ability to transition from short-term pop-up spaces to a long-term lease. Okay. This to me, it sounds like a good idea, but the real reality of it is it takes with an artist pop-up. Okay. So an artist goes in, maybe they do a temporary little sign. They go in and they have their artwork in an area that is basically devoid of walking traffic, right? So what's that going to do for them? By the time this gets any traction, the 2 to 4 months, these guys are going to be gone, right? I mean, that's what we're saying, that the leases are from between 2 to 4 months. So what are we doing here? Some of these things, to me as a small business owner, you have to have so much investment into a viable business long-term that for this kind of thing, I mean, this does make sense for an artist. They're going to have very limited tenant improvement build out. They're just going to go in there. They're going to put some art up. They're going to hang it on the wall. It's going to be cool. All right. I just hope they don't have the same issues that the original tenants of these spaces had that forced them to leave. Yeah. Seattle Made, a program of Seattle Good Business Network, is a collaboration of hundreds of urban manufacturers and producers, makers of everything from chai to candles, bicycles to beer, and jewelry to jam, coming together to make it in Seattle. The Seattle Restored program is particularly significant for this community of makers, as 70% of them are women or Black, Indigenous, and people of color, and other interested small business owners and artists who could benefit from the opportunities this program will provide. I want to see those communities have opportunities. I am not convinced this is the right opportunity for them right now because of safety issues. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist or a genius on any level to kind of figure this out. Seattle Restored will also offer the public the perfect opportunity to visit our downtown neighborhoods while supporting local artists, makers, and small businesses. All right. And in these areas, can you recommend to the public that it's safe in these areas? Let's take a walk around, King County Courthouse. Tell me how that's going. Take a walk around Pioneer Square. Tell me how safe you feel there. Take a walk around Little Saigon in Seattle. Tell me what you think there. I mean, just take a little walkie walk. These individuals strengthen our local economy and communities, provide meaningful living wage jobs, and contribute so much to Seattle's independent and innovative culture. Totally agreed with that. Is this the right timing to be doing that? I don't know. We're going to find out. Downtown is the small business, arts, and cultural heartbeat of our city. It's no secret that COVID has hit small local businesses, artisans, and artists downtown particularly hard. Well, it wasn't COVID. It was the government mandates that these businesses shut down and shut down all the big businesses that run the ecosystem. And the ecosystem is still not going. We don't have the majority of our major employers back into Seattle, and we won't until maybe the second or third quarter of 2022. I mean, we know that. So all the people that should be walking around these areas that create the foot traffic for a pop-up, they're not there. Okay. All right. But we got to do something. So we're going to throw some artists of color and some business owners of color into these things, and we'll just, we'll give it a run and see how it goes. As the pandemic eases and we look to attract more workers and visitors back to our urban core because we pushed them out, and when we didn't push them out, the peaceful protesters, they pushed the existing businesses out. And what didn't do that? The just general crime and degradation of these areas pushed businesses out because they didn't have enough customers to make a go of it. So there's that. I mean, you've got multi-angles of why businesses aren't making it in the downtowns right now. And we've covered those who knows how many times here in the Seattle Real Estate Podcast. The renewal of downtown is providing an opportunity to rethink the downtown experience and create a sense of place where everyone can see themselves. I don't think a lot of folks are seeing themselves in downtown right now, other than if they have to. Maybe ask the employees at the King County Courthouse how they envision their safety in downtown Seattle when they need to have an escort walk them to their car to and from work because it's not safe. All right. So there's that. You know what I mean? All right. Great urban areas are vibrant with a mix of cultures and perspectives all in one place. Active storefronts with a diverse range of uses will allow more people to bring their ideas, expertise, and perspective to the heart of our city. Agreed. Innovative, supportive programs like Seattle Restored are critical to enriching the fabric of downtown. I do agree with that, but there's got to be a baseline of public safety before you throw these folks in there. That's kind of how I see it. Maybe I'm just really jaded. Maybe I'm not envisioning this maybe I'm not reimagining and I'm not rethinking from the right perspective here. Because this does sound like a cool opportunity. Like if you're an emerging artist and you want to get your stuff up in a really cool space, maybe you want to do it just from the standpoint of having some professional, having a photographer come in and shoot your art and, get that going. Hey, I had a storefront, maybe that, but man, is it worth the risk of having all your art destroyed or you being physically harmed or any of these things that we see on a regular basis that small businesses are struggling with? Can't tell you how many podcasts I've done on that, but it's not because I hate Seattle. I love Seattle. I love going to these little things. I mean, they are cool, but not right now. That's not where I want to be. It's not pop-up store time. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. So the city and partners have begun direct outreach to property owners and hosted an information session for interested property owners on December 7th. The city will also partner with the Office of Arts and Culture to conduct outreach to artists and small businesses within the creative community or creative economy. I want to see this go, but it just doesn't feel right now. If this were 9 months from now, I would say, all right. And if we had a track record of some cleaning up, all right, we've moved out the element that is creating all this damage. We've done that. Now we're ready to go. But no, we're not doing that. We're backwards because the city is being run by people who aren't small business owners. They're not business owners. That's literally why Weyerhaeuser is like, yeah, that big commercial space that we have there, I don't think so. And they specifically indicated crime, ongoing crime, the criminal element was the reason they're not going to occupy their big office space in Pioneer Square. And that goes to all these other businesses that have left as well, right? I mean, those are the businesses that left these empty storefronts. Interested business owners and artists can sign up to participate in the December 14 information session using the following link. You can check that out. So, it's an opportunity, if you see it that way, for small business owners and artists and potentially landlords, but what landlord in their right mind wants to tie up a space if they're trying to rent it out to a long-term tenant? I don't see that happening. This isn't a big money maker for these landlords, but maybe the concept of something is better than nothing at this point, and having a body in there is better than having the windows all shuttered and, just having that gone out of business, don't ever rent this space again kind of look. Because that's how a lot of these spaces look. You know what the look is. It's like, oh yeah, what crime happened in there? That's not good. And you can see the bashed out windows. You can see the boarded up windows, and all that stuff. So we're trying to move past that. This is an effort. My concern would be check out the locations you're getting yourself into. If you're one of these folks that's going to be involved, check out what's going on. Do your due diligence. See if this really makes sense. Maybe it does. Maybe it's a great opportunity. Maybe you can find a spot that isn't as impacted as, the business that used to be there, because that's why it's vacant. I mean, you can only spin this so many different directions, and you've got to go with, okay, there's an underlying reason all these spaces are empty. What is that? And I kind of gave you the three-prong approach of why. And this is not new stuff. This is very old stuff. All right. So what else do we have here? Let's go with many neighborhoods, particularly downtown, experienced business closures and commercial space vacancies due to the pandemic. Again, it was politicians' reactions to the pandemic. It wasn't the pandemic itself, right? Everybody's got to go home, got to work from home. Okay. As of June 2021, the number of small businesses opened in the Seattle metropolitan area was 38% lower than in January of 2020. So 4 out of 10 are gone. Basically 40% are gone. Just prior to the initial economic impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, small businesses' revenue was down 35%. Additionally, national data indicates that BIPOC businesses were hit the hardest by closures. According to a study by National Bureau of Economic Research, COVID-19 caused BIPOC-owned businesses to close at a much higher rate than the average, with Black-owned businesses losing 41% of their businesses, Latinx-owned businesses losing 32% of their businesses, and immigrant-owned businesses losing 36% of their businesses. A lot of that has to do with being thinly capitalized, right? The longer you've been in business, the more established you are, maybe the more opportunities you've had to put away money. You kind of get on that program where you can get through horrific things like the COVID-19 shutdowns. But, so many of these businesses, they didn't have the time in place. They hadn't done the repetitions as far as the number of years in business. And so they were forced to shut down. And that sucks. You don't want to see that, from anybody or to anybody. And let alone, businesses that are struggling to begin with, because, it's hard to run a business. It doesn't it doesn't pop up, for lack of a better word, and run itself. It just doesn't. So these closure rates exceeded the average loss of 22% for all businesses. Each business closure caused by the pandemic represents a significant and permanent loss of wealth for BIPOC business owners who invest personal savings, pledged personal assets, and relied on business revenue for their income. Oh, yeah. The same can be said to anybody who owns a business. Those are all things: personal savings, pledged personal assets, and business revenue for their income. Those were things that hit all businesses across the board. And what killed me was to watch the peaceful protesters go through and bash out windows and raid businesses owned by people of color. It was so like, you doing what? Okay. Or watch them break museums, or watch them tear into just all sorts of businesses. That to me was like that was just an epic low, because that didn't do anything for race relations of any kind whatsoever. It just showed that if you smash something hard and heavy enough and big enough into glass, it will break, and then you can enter whatever storefront you want and do your thing, which is, not peaceful protesting. But that's a lot of why these, a lot of these stores, on top of the other things going on, the things we've been seeing for months and months and months since the pandemic started, businesses left. They're like, yep, out of here. Still got a lease going. I'm done. And you don't have the foot traffic to make this go. So until you start to see a pretty major return back by big businesses, I don't see these pop-ups as being a viable entity to anybody in the food chain. It's just the timing isn't right. So, all right. So the pandemic has taken a toll on the commercial district. I know it has for everyone. As a leading community development organization in the CID, we understand the importance of activating storefronts on Jackson Street. Well, it should be not activating storefronts. It should be cleaning it up first. And that's not going to happen for a while. We know that. Particularly, you need to have some more cops driving around. That's not happening at all. I mean, it's just not. So, yeah, this will be interesting to see how many artists take advantage of it, and maybe it'll work out, and maybe they won't be impacted, and maybe it will bring more people back into these communities. But I would be very cautious. I'm very cautious on this whole game plan. Let's just put it that way. So it's an innovative venture, and it could benefit people. I'm just not sure that the timing is right. But you know what? We shall see. I've been wrong before. I hope I'm wrong on this one. But just the general optics to me, again, big cringe factor. Ugh, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if that's a great call right now. Oh, yeah. But the beauty of having a podcast is we can check back in later. I can give you an update. Yeah, that one didn't work out either. And then we'll know, and we'll talk about it a little bit more. So that is what the city of Seattle has. That's what they are proposing to offset some of the rather negative look that downtown has. And this is not just downtown Seattle. This is many, many big cities have experienced this. And big business hasn't come back. It's not just Seattle this is happening. It's across the nation. Some areas of the country are just rolling. They're just going. But areas that, where we defunded the police and we had all these big mandates and that kind of thing, the downtown areas, they're not looking stellar. It's, difficult, tricky. All right. So that's it for me on this one. It'll be interesting to see how this goes and how many artists and small businesses want to take a run at this and see if they think this is a good idea. But if you're one of those, do your research. What you need to do as a small business or an artist anyway, do your research, see if it's a good fit for you, analyze all the risk, put some thought into it. Don't just take an opportunity because it's subsidized by the government. That doesn't mean it's great. It means it's probably a great thing for the city. Hey, we got another body in there. Sweet. I don't know. We'll find out. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks for being part of the Seattle Real Estate Podcast. I will catch up with you soon. Until then, do stay safe. And we'll catch up later. Bye for now.